and I'll go inside.
I just have to make sure the lights don't go off in this room because they're like motion censored. I gotta use my arms.
You gotta
like
keep waving your hands when you get emotional. Hey,
yo, hey, how you doing, Pazo? Hey,
get over here.
Oh, it says we're custom live streaming now.
I love it.
All right, let me share it in the group. And I'm gonna share the YouTube link too with all the groups. Shared in the hockey. Football chat. Soccer chat. I'll show you guys wrestling chat. Forward.
I'm sending it to like everybody I know.
Here you go. Got a couple more minutes before I debut this new show with Mike and Manny. I'm just sharing these right now for anyone who's watching. Thank you for tuning into all the Sports Atlas content by the fans and for the fans. Really appreciate it. The debut episode of the Fan Zone. I know we've been teasing it for a while, but it's finally here, and I'm really excited for what these guys have to bring to the table and on what's to come for sure.
I see my man Ricardo already in the comments.
Oh, is he really?
Yes, he is. He got the eyes moving. He's ready. I love it.
Let's see.
Oh, my boy Rowdy. Shout out to him.
Well, he's on, Ricardo's on Facebook in the comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got 5 people watching. I don't see the live chat coming up. There we go. There we go. All right. So I'm not going to waste any time since we have people watching right now. So for those who don't know, my name is Carl Kalange, executive producer for the Sports Hit List. And Manny and Mike approached me with a new idea that they wanted to start a show called The Fan Zone. And it took a lot of developing over the last 2 months. So we basically developed it. And it was, at first it was a little rocky trying to establish exactly what they wanted to do. But I'm willing to work with people and give people ideas and concepts about what we wanted. So this overall show is basically from the fan perspective. It's to give you in-depth look at, fans, why they're fans of certain teams, the fandom, because the Sports Hit List moniker is by the fans for the fans. So we sit here and we discuss sports, but we never get to hear from fans as to why they root for certain teams. Maybe talk about why they have certain memorabilia. Maybe what's your favorite experience of a fan of a game that you've been to. Just deep diving into fandom. Like, why am I a Boston Celtics fan? Why is Manny living in New York and he's a Raiders fan? So there's a lot there that we can dive into when it comes to the fan perspective. And Mike and Manny are here to do that with you guys every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Just another addition to the Sports Hit List family. and the things that we do here, and the things that we bring here. You know, why do you attend certain games? What's considered being loyal as a fan. So any question or any topic that has to deal with fans, this is where you'll basically be able to discuss it. This is where you'll be able to find it. So thank you for everyone who's pulling up. I'm not going to stay too long because I generally cook on my shows. This is Manny and Mike's spiel. I'm going to allow them to do their thing. Just a quick note, there won't be a regular show this week. There won't be a B show this week. We're taking a little bit of time off, but we will be back soon. So you guys will get the opportunity to cook. And yeah, this is it. This is Welcome to the Fan Zone. And thank you to all of those who are watching right now on Facebook and on YouTube. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, and you share with all your friends and all your friends' friends and all your friends' friends' friends and all your friends' 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 friends and all your friends' 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 friends. Yeah, I think I said it. I think I said friends enough.
But they said he was just a friend.
Yeah, right. So Mike, the floor is yours, my brother.
I appreciate it.
Here it is. Fan Zone.
I appreciate it. The Fan Zone. Welcome everybody to the Fan Zone. You got Eminem. That's right. You got me and you got Manny Schefter on the ones and twos. And we are here to give you the common fan perspective. And what do I mean by that? Well, we all know what it means to be a fan. We watch sports, we watch teams, we watch athletes. We're a fan of an athlete. We're a fan of a sport. We're a fan of a team. But what does it really mean to be a fan of that sport? What does it really mean to be a fan of an actual team? Just watching them, following their stats? But that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about what it really means to be a fan. And today, we thought by introducing the definition of a fan and then give you guys the perspective of myself and what Manny thinks a fan truly is. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Manny Catch Them Hands Schefter, who is ready. Wait a second.
Well, before you guys go, I just want to say I'm out. You guys cook. You guys do your thing. I'm really proud of you guys for developing this and getting this off the ground. So you guys have.
Before you leave, I want to say, Carl, keep doing your thing. You are truly the mastermind from the Wizard of Oz that says, don't look behind the curtain. That is always cooking, always making things happen. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even think of an idea like this. If it wasn't for you and the grind that you have every single week, we wouldn't want to emulate you. And that's what we're going to try to do with this show. Where me and Manny both said we're trying to make you proud as our EP, and keep doing your thing. We're going to hopefully bring the sports hit list to the next level.
I appreciate that. With that said, fuck the Knicks and fuck the Nets. I'm out.
Whoa, man.
I'm out. Listen. That's all about it is when you're a fan. We gotta leave with the spice. So it's all about the Celtics. We know the vibe.
Don't worry about it. Now you know what I'm going to be saying about who's a fan and who's not. All right, let's roll, Manny. Tell them Manny. What is the definition of a fan?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my office. I told you, the Coliseum, where the fans first originated. Anyways, to be a fan is a sports fan. It's an enthusiast for a particular athlete, a team, a sport, or any type of organized sport throughout the world. Now, for fans, you attend the games, you watch at a bar, you watch with family, you watch with friends, you watch the Super Bowl, you watch the World Series, you do all these things, you buy memorabilia, signed by your favorite athlete or anything like that. You buy jerseys, hats, anything you can think of just to rep your team. And you go above and beyond. We do have fans that are a bit extreme and go through extreme lengths. Shout out to the Bills Mafia. That too. Bills Mafia, their whole thing is jumping on top of the tables and breaking tables. Hey, kudos to them for doing that, honestly. It's interesting how we talking about fans and everything, and it goes on to what's been going on in the past couple weeks, months, even the past year. With COVID and everything, they started allowing fans back, and you're getting a lot of fans that are acting unruly, acting a fool, interfering with the game. Just what was it? 2 weeks? Last week, actually, I believe Carl, the maestro, and Eddie Gonzalez, they were both at the Yankee game, and a fan just ran out onto the field got tackled, rightfully so, and is probably going to get arrested. For what? He probably had a couple beers, or they just trying to be a Instagram, social media, experiment, try to get Insta famous or something like that. You understand?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why me and you kind of came up with this show was the last year, the 12th man, as they like to call it, the fans were what was missing from those sports. When I was watching the NBA finals in the bubble and they had to blast that automated, clapping, that automated cheering, that wasn't really a fan. That wasn't what you really go for. Listen, for me, going to a game, eating the hot dog, drinking the beer, enjoying the game for what it is, whatever sport it might be. That's what it means to be a fan. Now, like you said, what being a fan and what the definition doesn't bring out is some fans are emotional. We already know that by watching Carl Coulange cry every time his Celtics lose. We already know that some fans go a little too far, and that's all for the LeBrononians on this call. We already know, I'm going after every single one every week. I will be coming to see you, whether it's the Tom Brady's, whether it's the LeBrons, I'm coming for you. And that's what it means to be a fan, because my whole perspective of being a fan is it's okay to not like a player. Yes, you can appreciate if they're good, you can appreciate their talent, but you don't have to like them. But what you have seen recently is fans going too far. You've seen fans at Yankee Stadium throwing balls at people's head with what we saw with the Red Sox. That's going too far. What you've seen is you've seen players, as we've saw from the Malice in the Palace, we've seen players have to go into the stands and correct the behavior of some fans and take things upon themselves. But something else about fans is they're the biggest ones that are the reason why an athlete becomes famous. Yes, their talent is one thing, but if you don't have a fan base behind you, who's going to know about you? Think about it. We have a lot of talented hockey players. Not many people know about them, maybe in their city because it's their team. But if you don't have a fan base behind you, buying your merch, if you don't have a fan base behind you cheering for you, where you're at, you're just going to be cooking in a team, but you're really not going to get the camaraderie that you need from the fans. The fans are where it's at, and that's what we're going to be doing here. Now, I'm a fan of the Knicks, the Jets, the Rangers, and the Mets. And a lot of people have said for many years, you just like heartbreak. And my answer today is you damn Skippy, because that's what loyalty is. A fan that sticks by a team no matter what has happened, whether it's the Benny Agbayanis that were on the New York Mets, whether it was the Chad Penningtons, which was a good quarterback but didn't get us too far for the New York Jets, I still was a fan because I still hoped and I still prayed. And that's what being a fan is. Now, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was younger, I was those type of fans that went with the player that was the best. I was actually a 49ers fan, when I was young, because I loved Steve Young. I was actually a Colorado Avalanche fan because I loved Joe Sakic. But then I said, you know what? I can't watch these games. I can't do anything with anybody. So why am I going to keep following them when I have to follow stats, this and that, and I can't really watch them play? So I started watching the Rangers more, started watching the Jets more. That's when I was like, you know what? This is where it's at. I don't care that they lose. They make it fun because I'm an underdog. I like to watch the underdogs. Now, I don't know where you became a Raiders fan, and I'm waiting to hear about this because I've wondered for many different times why you decided to wear the black and silver, because
silver and black, baby. That's all. That's all day.
I don't know.
So basically, shout out to you, Mike. I'm giving your reason why of being a fan and the teams you represent. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, and baseball was my number one sport. I was more of a fan of the sport before being a fan of the team. But being influenced in my family, you either a Yankee fan or a Met fan. Now, my grandfather, my father, and my uncle and one of my uncles and one of my cousins, they're Yankee fans. And my father will, and obviously I'm gonna go with the latter. I'm gonna go with what my father chose and my grandfather. So I went with the Yankees. But it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy going to a Met game to catch the game because again, I'm a baseball fan first. I love the game no matter what. And right now, the Yankees are looking pathetic. Shout out to Chuck, Charlie Boldy. You know, me and him, we called out the whole Yankees being trash, and a bunch of Yankee fans in here have been coming at us, saying, "Oh, you don't know what you mean." And it's like, look what they're doing. They're choking in games. It's
Well, they are trash, though.
I mean, you have every right to say it, but you don't say that in front of me, though, in person. Like I said, step into my office.
Listen, I'm ready to step in the office. Me and you, we can go back and forth. Let's go.
Hey, by all means. But yeah, so baseball-wise, I'm a Yankee fan. When it comes to football, Raider Nation, no matter what, Charles Woodson is the GOAT to me. And I just want to say with Charles Woodson, he was by far the reason why I became a Raider fan mainly. Obviously, Marcus Allen, but I was too young for that. But the silver and black is Raider Nation all day. And I also have the Rangers hockey. Love going to the game. Seen them last time I went, they destroyed the Chicago Blackhawks. Sorry. And who else? What am I? Oh, Brooklyn Nets. I gotta forget about that. How could I forget about that? I had a heartbreaking game 7.
Well, listen, let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this. How long have you been a Brooklyn Nets fan? So this is why I ask this, because we got the Nets that moved to Brooklyn that everybody's going for, or do we got the Nets that are the New Jersey Nets? I don't know. He's stepping in the ring. I guess I got to fight him now. I don't know. But listen, or do you got the Nets from Kerry Kittles and the Jason Kidd? You got those Nets that you rocking? Or are you rocking when they moved into the Barclays Center and you were like, oh, they Brooklyn, they BK, I'm repping them?
So I've been a Nets fan. Like I said, in my family, you're either a baseball fan and that's really it. One of my cousins is a diehard basketball fan. Like my father loved watching Jordan and he loved Kobe, rest in peace. So I easily could have been a Bulls fan or I could have been a Lakers fan. But I stuck with the Nets. First game I ever went to was Nets versus Knicks at the Garden. And I saw Kenny Anderson play. And, you know, seeing Kenny Anderson play was dope. I mean, I was too young to see Petrovic, you know, God rest his soul, one of the greatest three-point shooters in the game.
Pistol, right? Pistol?
Yeah. No, Petrovic.
Petrovic. Oh, Petrovic.
Drazen. But Jason Kidd and Grant Hill were my two favorite players as I was getting older, growing up. So I got to see them from the rookie year and on. Now, my thing was, it's either I go with Grant Hill with the Pistons or I go with Jason Kidd and the Mavericks. And I was like, I'll stick with the Nets because my cousin was a fan. He took me to my first game. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a Nets fan regardless. Now, I've dealt with so much heartache with that team. You know, obviously, this past couple years, we've been hearing, New York is Brooklyn's team or home now. Brooklyn runs New York and all that. And I'm like, it's still Knicks town, regardless. Y'all can have it. I don't care. Because right now, all I care is about raising the trophy and having that parade in Flatbush or something. That's all I want. I don't care about anything else. You can keep the town. Knicks fans are loyal. I can say that right there. Y'all deserve the best. But honestly, y'all can kick rocks. Every single one of y'all. I'm tired of y'all.
Stop it. Well, listen. I will tell you this. Being a Knicks fan, and this is what annoys me, is obnoxious fans, right? So one of the reasons why
that's Yankee fans.
Yes, and that's what I was going to get to. The reason why I never could root for the Yankees, and this is why I laugh every time they lose now, because every Yankee fan you speak to when they would lose a game, well, we got 26 championships. Fantastic. Are you winning tonight's game? No, we got 26 championships. Fantastic. You didn't win tonight's
27.
Listen, I don't care. Tomato. At the end of the day, you're not getting 28 this year. So that's besides the point, because you guys can't even get your pitching staff together. that's neither here nor there. The reason why I went for the Mets is because even if they lost, I remember games where it would be the 10th inning and Todd Pratt smacking a grand slam single to be able to win the game. Those are exciting moments for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I remember Derek Jeter, his hits, exciting games in the playoffs. I remember David Justice and those games. I remember all that. And I'll admit, as a New Yorker, I rooted for them. Did I still want them to lose? You're damn right. And it goes with the Nets too. I hate how fans can be obnoxious. If you're good, that's fine. Just say your team is good, but you don't got to be obnoxious about it. Anthony Mullins, for example, love the man to death. He is an obnoxious Lakers fan. Obnoxious. And he knows it. He's the head of the Laker Nation. He knows it. He's obnoxious with it, though. If you try to tell him that the Lakers colors were something else, he would give you a soliloquy on how they decided to pick yellow and purple. That's just the type of fan he is. And that's what I get at is sometimes when we look at different teams in different sports, the fans make it, right? Like I said with the 12th man, they're the ones that make us love the sport even more. You're in the crowd, you're cheering, you're high-fiving. But then you got the obnoxious fans that ruin it, that make it unenjoyable. You sit there and you're like, damn, when is this man going to shut up? Like, yo, relax. It's only the second inning and you're yelling at a pitcher that he threw 4 balls. Like, come on. Like, but that's how some fans are. Some fans, and I don't know if it's because of their livelihood where they wanted to be that type of player and never were able to. So they're living through certain players, but the way they cheer, it's like they'll go for your neck if you don't do something every single at bat. Perfect example. Now, granted, we gave Lindor massive amounts of money on the New York Mets.
Man got paid.
He got paid, but then he also got booed 3 weeks in. Now, yes, was he trying to find his swing? Absolutely. He was adjusting. Has he found his swing yet? No, he's injured. And some fans would be like, oh, we should have never given him that money. But they probably would have been the same fans that said, hey, where's that money? Better give it to him. Better give it to him. That's what I'm talking about. So we also, as fans, are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One day, our teams are the best. We're doing everything right. The GMs are the GMs of the year, a.k.a. Carl in the past with Danny Ainge. That's besides the point. But then, in the same breath, they turn around and they want to fire them because they make one bad move or they make one bad, decision. And that's where I think fans take the sports too far. Now, you had brought up about fans running onto the field recently. I brought up about, and it turns out it's Yankee games, two of the instances, but there have been others. We saw what happened to Trae Young at the New York Knicks game where he was spit on.
That was wild.
My thing is, you as a fan, how do you think that's going to change the game? Granted, you're running on the field, you're trying to make a highlight for yourself, this and that. A, you're now banned from a game for life. B, you just possibly wasted any momentum that team could have had because you just wasted 30 minutes of everybody's time. But then C, the perfect example, you turn around and you spit in Trae Young's head. That man still drained a 3, looked at you, wiped his arms, and walked off by beating the Knicks in 5. What did you prove from that? And I wonder if it's because fans have not been there for the last year and a half, if they haven't been around. And so they feel a little more entitled. Now they're here. They're like, oh, I got to make a statement. I'm wondering what it is, because at the end of the day, it's not giving anybody a good look. I listen, there's certain stadiums, and we're going to get into this in different episodes, but there's certain stadiums I'll never go into as a fan. I'll never go to a Flyers game as a Rangers fan. I've gone to Philly games as a Mets fan and luckily sat next to families instead of sitting next to the true Philly fanatics, because I probably wouldn't have walked out of that stadium at a Citizens Park a lot. Because yes, I'm a passionate fan. I like to cheer for my team, but I was even looking around like, should I be cheering that we scored right now, or am I going to get something thrown at me? There's certain stadiums where you just don't want to be there. I can guarantee that if you are against the Oakland Raiders, you do not want to step in their arena. If you
Las Vegas Raiders, remember,
yes, but even when they were at, which by the way, I looked at the stadium, it's gorgeous, but that's besides the point. I'm talking about when they were in Oakland. Did you want to, if you were an opposing player or an opposing fan, did you want to step in those stands? Especially in the end zones, in the black hole, you weren't getting out alive.
You were getting stabbed.
Oh yeah, you were getting stabbed, or you were getting a jersey pulled over your head and getting escorted out and kicked out by the end of the first quarter. That's the type of fan bases some of these stadiums have, where you're like, hold on, wait a second. Bills Mafia you brought up. So this goes into my adjectives that I described earlier on. Enthusiastic, over the top, emotional, and sometimes overdoing it. I'm a fan to the common perspective because I love watching the game. I watch it every night. I love going to games. Am I going to curse out a player because he's one of their better players on the team and curse out his family? What is that going to prove? It's mind-boggling sometimes how fans can get, So with that being said, I want to just share how this format is going to go for these episodes going forward before we get into today's topic, which if fans going too far, which we kind of started alluding to already. But the way this show is going to go is each episode is going to have a different perspective of what it means to be a fan. That goes into the biggest rivalries, right? So maybe we'll have Carl go against Anthony, which I think everybody loves to see. Boston versus the Lakers. Let's see how they go against each other as the biggest rivalries, especially on the fan bases. We'll have memorabilia that fans have received over their years. What is your favorite memorabilia? I was actually telling Manny Schefter the other day that one of my biggest memorabilia is game-worn batting gloves by Tony Gwynn himself. Those things are something I'll never let go because it was actually thrown to me by Tony Gwynn in a game. We'll even have a Fan's Choice episode every 4 weeks. So the fourth episode of every month, we will have a poll out of what you want to hear as the fan episode. And we're going to have guests every week. We're going to have guests every week that are going to tell us their story. There's a lot in the sports hit list streets that are fans of certain teams that you look at them and go, say, what? Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you, Andrew, about the Denver Broncos, but that's besides the point. But with that being said, we also have a lot of people out there that are in the closet fans about certain teams that don't want to share it because they're so bad, or certain players that they're afraid they might get smack about. Well, don't worry. On this show, we're going to get it out of them. Because
don't get bandwagon fans.
Well, those are the worst fans, and we have an episode just for them. I call them fair weather fans, and we're going to have them as that. Those are the ones that are the true LeBrononians, as I like to call them. Yes, I call them LeBrononians. I don't even say their name right on purpose, because those are the ones that when LeBron is at his peak, he's the best player of all time. But then when he gets political, when he decides to turn around and he has a bad game, a bad series, man, that man's washed up. He needs 5 other players to be able to win. Those are LeBrononians. So we're going to get into all of that every episode. That's what the Fan Zone is. It's the perspective of the fans. It's your perspective as a fan, what you like to look at when you're watching a game, why you root for your teams, why you root for your players. What is your favorite moment? That's what it's all about. The fans are the ones that are going to be speaking now, because when you go to Seattle, they're the 12th man for a reason. And it's time to get loud in the sports hit list streets as fans to let everybody know who you repping, and then maybe get joked on as I joke on Manny for being a Raiders fan. But
they troll. Everybody gets trolled on, no matter what team you are.
They will. And listen, to make it even better, as you see behind Manny Schefter himself, you see the Coliseum. Every week, Manny Schefter is going to give his segment, which is someone's going to be catching them hands. So this week, Manny, I want you to let everybody know who's catching them hands. What team, what player, what fan is catching them hands this week?
Well, it's neither of them. It's just one particular person that I have constantly stated for decades. And I still don't understand how he still has a job. And that, my friend, is baseball's very own umpire, Hernandez. I'm not even his name. I don't care for him. But he is by far the worst umpire in baseball history. I'm glad he lost his case because he tried to play the race card. He tried to play the Hispanic card, saying, hey, you don't have any minorities in umping World Series or playoff or major games, meaning me only, not other him. So he didn't care for anybody else. He's a selfish person. I don't care for this man. And Rob Manfred, you're another one that needs the hands. I'm tired of your BS. You're killing the game. You know, you have all this talent, and the other person, shout out to the Polius brothers, Stefan and Greg. We've constantly spoke about it, and even everybody in the Sports Hit List has mentioned MLB marketing team. You guys should lose your jobs, find something else, because you clearly don't know what to do with the amount of talent you have in the major leagues, regardless if it's every single team or if it's just a specific amount of teams. Shout out to Show. You know, there was a big controversy about him and everything, saying he shouldn't be the face of the league and everything because of Stephen A. Smith's comments in First Take. And, you know, everybody got riled up about it. But Shohei Ohtani is literally our generation's version of Babe Ruth.
Absolutely.
And this man is consistent. This is the thing. Last night, I believe, he stole second base for the first time when he was pitching the game. All the other times, he has 42 to 43 stolen bases.
Yeah.
He could be the first person in a very long time that hit 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases, which would be amazing for the game. But do you think MLB will market that? No. And this is why they fail. But yes, the umpire Hernandez, you're a disgrace to baseball. And the fact that every player on every team, when they find out who is umping the game, they get a loud groan like, oh, God, is this guy? Really? Do we Angel Hernandez? Really, Greg? You made me say it now. But I agree with your comment. He does not deserve a job. What they should do is send them to the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Send them to the minor league. Send players down when they're doing bad. Why not? Why not do the same thing for the umpires? So that's really for today is just Angel Hernandez, MLB marketing team, and Rob Manfred.
So I gotta say first and foremost, shout out to Steph and Greg and Declan on the Smoke and Mirrors. They do a great show. Another part of the Sports Hit List family. They are on Mondays and Fridays at 1 p.m. and they have a lot to say about the MLB, especially MLB marketing and Rob Manfred. I know Greg is not a big fan of Rob Manfred, neither am I, but you are absolutely right. And I'm actually kind of wondering, how long has it been to get that off your chest about how much you hate Angel Hernandez?
I still have the money saved up from the 5th grade. Come on, man. That's how long I've been holding on to this, man.
You know what? I gotta tell you, I think there's certain players or certain managers that if they see Angel Hernandez is behind the plate, I think they already put the game and they turn it around and they're like, listen, we already want to put this game under contest. We want to, review it at the end. We want to see what he's been doing because he is horrendous behind the plate. His strike zone, and I can't even call it a strike zone because it is so sporadic of what his strike zone is. It's either big or small. No, it's either big or small. It depends on the pitcher. It depends on the pitcher and who he wants to win. I feel like he is Pete Rose of umps where he's getting something on the side. And that's why he's calling the games a certain way, because every time, and you're absolutely right, every time I've seen Angel Hernandez ump a game, I go, God damn it, this game is going to go this way. It's going to be held by the umps. And that's another thing. As a fan, I hate when a game is dictated by an ump or a ref. Perfect example.
Yes.
Perfect example. And this can't be a coincidence. Chris Paul. 0 for 13. I forget the ref's name, but he was the ref. He was the finals ref in Game 6. And Chris Paul, as him playing with this man as the ref, is 0-13. That's a little shady. Maybe 0-3. Okay, maybe it's just a coincidence. Chris Paul didn't wear his lucky boxers. I don't know. But 0 for 13, there's something a little strange there. And that's what I hate as a fan, because let them ball. Let them ball, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whether it's hockey, whether it's baseball, anything. Let them do what they need to do. Football, right, exactly. Let them do. Look at football with the no call. Was it a no call or was it a call in the Seattle game?
Oh, the Seattle versus Packers first game?
Yeah.
And they did the little push off and then he caught it and it was game over?
Right.
Yeah. They didn't call pass interference on.
No, they didn't call pass interference. That's what I'm talking about. Those games, especially in football. Baseball, we have a certain amount of games where, yes, when we come to August, when we come to, end of July, early August, the games count even more as we're starting to see who's going to be in the hunt for the playoffs. But those early games don't matter as much. But in football, you lose one game, there's a shot you might not even make the playoffs. And so when you bring up Angel Hernandez, that made the hairs on my back. Yes, I have back hair. That made the back hair stand up. And I'm like, hell no. Because you mentioned that name, it's like Bloody Mary. You name it 3 times, all of a sudden I'm going to watch a game tonight and he's going to be umping.
Oh, I love it for him to ump your games in the playoffs.
Oh, I hope not. Listen, I feel like he does a lot of AL games, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, unfortunately.
Mainly he does a lot more AL games, right?
Yankee games. He does a lot of Yankee games, which I hate.
No, I know. It seems like he doesn't. I don't think I've seen him, and I want Greg to fact check me on this. I don't think I've seen him at many Mets games, umping our games. I think he's more AL. But
then I had to write a letter to Manfred and tell him to put him in some Met games during the playoffs.
Listen. You write a letter to Rob Manfred. You could write him a letter about getting rid of pitchers hitting and all this other stuff, because to me, I think DH should not come to the NL. The NL was born with the pitcher hitting. I know what they did in the AL, that's fine, but I'm a big proponent and fan of the pitcher hitting. I understand that we've had some issues with certain pitchers, the way they swing, they're trying to hit home runs and they've pulled muscles, they've gotten hurt, but I'm a big proponent. That's old school baseball. That's what I was growing up with. Does it make it easier for more bench players? Does it make it easier for someone like the Mets to have like a Pete Alonso at DH and then you move Dominic Smith at first base and then you have another outfielder option? Yes, I understand that. But perspective wise, as a fan, I always loved seeing the pitcher hit in the 9th hole or even the 8th hole, depending upon how they hit, because at the end of the day, that showed me, all right, let's see if this pitcher can really hit. And when they got a hit, it was even bigger. When you had Jacob deGrom hitting doubles, when you had pitchers hitting home runs, you were like, holy crap, this just happened? That's what the moments are for these games. That's what, as a fan, I love seeing those type of moments. Those are the tearful moments. Those are the cheerful moments. And I feel like you take that away because what? Because you're not taking other things away with timing. You took away timing, but it still seems like the games are longer now because now you're checking all the pitchers. So where'd you take away time? You're taking away time from mound visits, but then at the end of an inning, you're having them getting checked, getting strip searched like they were going through JFK, going to Dominican Republic. What are you doing?
Pretty much. They prolong the game. They don't know what to do, honestly. And like you said about checking the pitchers now for all the stuff that they have, it's kind of annoying. I mean, obviously, it has been said, it has been found that players cheat, and we'll talk about that in another episode.
Absolutely.
But basically, as fans, we get riled up when stuff like this happens. Like a month ago, I believe a few months ago, I went to the Mets versus Padres game.
Okay.
And with the Polius brothers,
I saw the video.
Oh, I had the same exact hoodie. And underneath, I had another hoodie of Fernando Tatis Jr., El Nino, as we love to call him. And, Padres were losing. Nothing was going right. And then I said to myself, if Tatis hits a home run or gets a base hit or something, I'm going to go crazy. I don't care. I got to see it. And lo and behold, literally when DeGrom unfortunately went down with injury, or he took himself out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he had elbow tightness. It was either elbow tightness or shoulder tightness.
Trust me, the fans were going crazy. I'm in the section, nothing but Met fans. This is Citi Field. Nothing but Met fans. And I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little nervous because if I had to throw the hands, I'm by myself. I got nobody with me. And that's fine.
I think, listen, I think the Polius brothers would have still stepped up for you. I think they still would have stepped up for you.
Yeah, somewhat. They probably would have kicked in too.
I was about to say they would about to kick one or two, and then they would.
Yeah,
then they
exactly.
Would have came
and
in.
then come and help me. But so what ended up happening? Tatis hit a double. I come out, take my hoodie off, crazy. It's in the sports hit list. I posted it in there. And then this guy, Zach Hampley, he's YouTube famous. He goes to a lot of baseball games and stuff. He actually recorded me the whole time going crazy, yelling at the fans. So these guys behind us were real cool. They were hilarious Met fans. And they didn't know because they asked me, hey, who you rooting for? And I'm like, oh, I'm going for the Mets. I got to root for DeGrom. I can't hate on him. But lo and behold, they saw me and they were like, what? We gave you a dap. We hooked you up. Like, what's going on here? Just like they felt betrayed. So they all kept cursing me out, yelling at me, telling me I had the Rona, like all this. And literally while this whole thing is happening, Cronenworth, I believe, hits a 2-run shot. And you see fans get pissed off, especially Greg. Oh, I laughed at that video because Greg, you could tell Greg was so pissed off. So it was great. I mean, the Mets still won at the end of the day, but again, I had a great time. The guys behind us, they told me that they had security up there. They added more security just in case something went down because I found out I was the only one with a Padres shirt or uniform in an entire section with none but Met fans. And again, they just kept saying, he got Rona. He got Rona. Like, yo, they were going off on me. I loved it. I welcomed it. I was like, hey, I'm in the Coliseum. I'm over here. I'm ready. I'm Russell Crowe. Come on. I'm here.
Are you not entertained?
Exactly. Are you not?
Yeah, no.
What it is about being a fan. At the end of the day, I had a great time. I got to watch the game. I got to see my man's hit. I got to see DeGrom pitch phenomenal. He also got an RBI in there, got a hit as well. But it was actually pretty because after the game was over, I gave a couple high fives to a couple Met fans. Like, oh, it's all just fun. We won. I'm like, hey, it's cool, y'all won, but I got to see my man hit. So that's all I cared about. So at the end of the day, it was all cool and stuff. Obviously, that's not the case every single time because you see it on social media and stuff like the Suns in 4 guy, Suns in 4. Yeah. Just straight clap that dude, which the guy deserved because he did hit him and everything like that.
But
there are fans that take that too far.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you brought that up because fans do take it too far. You got the fans that, listen, at the end of the day, a lot of these people bring their children to games, right?
Exactly.
And then you got fans that for some reason or another think that by yelling and cursing at a player, it's going to get in their head to the point that they're not going to play to their fullest potential. And now you just beat them. No, that's not the case. Talking about someone's family, talking about their kids, talking about, hoping that they die and they get the Rona or anything like that. Like you look at that and you're like, but why? Like at the end of the day, at the end of the game, if you make it to the end of the game, depending upon what you're saying and if security hears you or not, you're still going to be taking that train home, still going into your house and still sleeping on your bed. You know what that player is going to be doing? He's either going to be going home to his family, he's going to be going out clubbing, or he's still going to be living his life because he's still going to be counting his money.
Exactly.
You know, and it goes back to the whole thing about pocket watching. Yeah, I understand that. But at the end of the day, they don't care what you have to say. They understand that you're a fan. They understand that you're rooting for your team. But when you take it too far, when you're cursing at them, when you're yelling at them, when you're talking about families, that's when I got a problem with it. You know, I'm afraid sometimes to take my daughter to a Mets game because even though I'm a Mets fan, even though I'm around Mets, you know, Mets fans, I don't know who I might be around. I don't know, am I going to be around that drunk, disgruntled fan that is pissed because we just gave up a 2-run home run and is just yelling obscenities around everywhere to the point I got to tell my daughter what the F word, S word, and B word all stand for at the same time. You know, stuff like that. But then you have the other side where you have fans that are obnoxious but funny, like yourself. I had a similar story. I took a road trip down to Memphis. And it turns out when we took the road trip down to Memphis, I took it down with my boys. It was a couple of years ago. It was when Chris Duhon was on the New York Knicks. I'm a big Duke fan. I watched Chris Duhon when he was when he was with Duke. I'm a big, you know, big Knicks fan, big Duke fan. So when I knew I was able to see Chris Duhon, we went up to the Memphis Arena. We bought tickets for, I think it was like 80 a pop. And it was 10 rows behind the Knicks bench. That's just, that's small market teams. You go over there, you buying tickets, you're pretty much sitting next to them for $200. You know, and then you go to Madison Square Garden, $200 get you in a bathroom. You know, that's a different story. So we paid for these tickets, right? And I'm right behind the bench and I'm starting to drink. So I start getting obnoxious and I'm seeing that Chris Duhon's on the bench. Now, Mike D'Antoni is the coach. So I start doing a chant. I'm like, put in Duhon. And I start chanting this for like maybe 2 quarters, right? I'm messing with Zach Randolph as well. Every time he's shooting a free throw, I'm yelling at him to the point I'm like, miss him like you missed him on the Knicks. He starts hysterical laughing on the foul line. So I knew he heard me. I had fans next to me. And remember, they're from Memphis. So they're the Southern fans that are a little quieter and stuff. They're looking at me like, can you stop, you know, yelling this and that? Can you? And I'm like, no, I'm yelling for my team, this and that. I'm from New York, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I made myself look like an obnoxious New Yorker. But at one point, I guess I was getting so obnoxious to them that one of them comes up to me and he goes, if I buy you a beer, will you shut up? I said, well, you can buy me the beer, but I'm still going to keep talking. And by buying me the beer, I'm going to get even louder. And he's like, you know what? I respect you. So he still bought me the beer. I had my friend drink it because I thought he was trying to drug me. Big ups to my friend for drinking it. But at the end of the game, because the Knicks were beating Memphis so bad, I had the entire section chanting for put in Chris Duhon. And these were Memphis fans that were actually cheering to put in Chris Duhon to the point where he turned around and gave us the salute. He never got in the game, but he gave us the salute. And that's why I still hate Mike D'Antoni to this day, because he still didn't listen to me and believe me to put in Duhon. That's a different story. But those are the times where it's okay to be obnoxious because you're funny, but you never know how it might be to another fan. I can yell, you know, we can yell things every day of the week at a player. We might get in their head like Jeff Francoeur. I used to know that he had scriptures on the inside of his gloves. Right, he used to have religious scriptures, so I knew what the scriptures were, so I'd yell it at him. And he actually turned around and laughed at me. Fans around me thought I was being an asshole. Jeff, and maybe I was being an asshole, but Jeff took it as, you know what, this guy's pretty cool, and actually enjoyed it. You know, that's why I'm glad players sometimes don't take it seriously. And I'm hoping that when fans are taking it too far, players realize, you know what, let them be. At the end of the day, I know what I'm going to. I know what they're going to. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's a game. It's just a game. You know, yes, we can rant and rave for months after our team loses in the playoffs. We can rant and rave for months after our team misses the playoffs, saying how terrible it was. But at the end of the day, come the next season, you're starting 0-0. You're starting with a new hope and a new belief. And for most of us as fans, the common perspective of a fan, you like how I keep throwing that in there, is they will enjoy that. The delusional fans will still go back in the past, think about those other series, and use that special word, if, that gets thrown around the sports hit list streets a lot. I'll have a segment on the word if. I won't talk about it right now. I won't tell you which side I'm on. I'm not burning a shirt. I'm not joining the if movement. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'll let you know on one of these segments. But at the end of the day, there's the delusional fan and the common fan. So with that being said, what is the biggest moment so far in any sport over the last season that you've seen a fan take it too far?
Biggest moment? Oof, that's rough. That's tough, actually. I mean, granted, we had a couple incidents already, but don't forget, remember in the earlier this year in the playoffs, the Wizards, when they were playing against Philly, Westbrook back to the locker room, dude dumps popcorn on him. Now, granted, that's going too far, because I'll tell you this right now, everybody knew once Westbrook got all that popcorn dumped, he knew he was going after that man first. He was going to beat the crap out of him. I don't even care. You just completely disrespected this man, regardless if he won or lost.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching the game. Yes, you paid for tickets, but guess what? Don't disrespect another human being. Yes, they're athletes. They're super mega stars, all that stuff. It doesn't matter. It's still a human person. Still a human being. You gotta respect them regardless. It's like we always say, you know, everybody always shares this quote where you treat the janitor like you treat the CEO. You gotta respect the player regardless. I had a moment with a specific superstar player, you know, but we can talk about that another time. I'll definitely bring that up. You know what I'm talking about, but we gonna keep that on the rest for now.
Okay.
But yeah, with the Wizards, with the Sixers fan dumping popcorn on Westbrook, that was disrespectful. You don't do that. That's just crossing the line, because he would get in trouble if he actually retaliated and beat the crap out of that fan. He would get fined, suspended, all this stuff, and that fan is what? Just gets arrested for a few days and then comes right back and goes back to living, while Westbrook has to pay like a $10,000 fee, $15,000 fee or something, fine, just because of, you know, defending himself. Like, come on. They're not animals in cages.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that came up a lot. One, in the sports hit list streets, you know, about, you know, acting as if we're caged animals, and people, you know, throwing things at players, fans throwing things at players, thinking, oh, you know, puppet dance type mentality. And you bring up a great one with the dumping the popcorn on Russell Westbrook. I have to go back to that Trae Young, you know, getting spit on. I think, to me, that is the most vile and disgusting thing you can do to a human being. Spitting bodily fluids onto somebody and thinking you're not going to get caught when it's on a national screen. You're right behind 50 Cent. You don't think the camera's going to be on him. But just the fact of spitting on him, thinking that's a good idea, that's going to get into his head, that's going to stop him from banging the three, didn't do anything but show yourself as an asshole, excuse my French, but also show yourself as giving Knicks fans a bad name. You know, that's what the problem is. You have fans like that, like the fan with Philly, right? Dumping the popcorn. You got fans like that give fan bases a bad name. And that's what kills me, is because why do you think your actions are going to have positive consequences for your team? What if they turned around and a ref saw that and gave a T to the New York Knicks bench for that, because technically he was a New York Knicks fan, which they could possibly do if they wanted to. Stuff like that is not good for the game. And we're seeing it more and more. And I don't know if it's because of the alcohol consumption. I don't know if it's because us as human beings were caged animals for the last year and a half, being locked up in our houses because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which, by the way, just a public service announcement, please wear your masks. We are not out of the woods yet, ladies and gentlemen. We want sports to continue. Please wear your mask. Please be safe. And please Please take care of everyone. But with that being said, what does that do that makes the game even worse? And I think that's what I liked is like hockey. When they brought fans back, and I think basketball even did it to a certain degree. They brought them back where there was no fan base up to like 10 rows. Am I right? When they first came back, there was like the first 10 rows were still blocked off.
Yeah.
That I liked. And this is why. One, I like being higher because you get to see more of the game. I don't need to have LeBron sweating on me. I just want to see how he plays, right? That's my own perspective. And yes, people in the comments might be saying, damn, this man is saying LeBron so many times. Yes, I am. But that's one of the superstars. I watched Space Jam this weekend. I'll give you my review another time. But anyway, with that being said, I like being higher. So I thought it was a great idea having those 10 rows. But that also might be what they need to do to keep fans away from players. No, not to act like they're zoo animals where there's a fence between them. No, but it's to keep the players safe. Because us as fans are showing we're not responsible enough to sit in the stands, to be able to watch a game professionally, root for a team professionally without getting out of hand, running on the field, spitting on players, throwing a baseball at someone's head. Throwing a baseball at someone's head, spitting on people, throwing popcorn. You are stupid too, because you probably just spent $25 on that popcorn that you just dumped on Russell Westbrook's head. Exactly. So you just wasted money too.
But that it goes back to people trying to be Insta famous, trying to be on social media, spreading all that. Like a couple years ago, Adam Jones, former center fielder for the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah. I've gone to a bunch of Oriole games. And at Yankee Stadium, and I usually sit in the bleachers in like right center field, left center
bleachers
field.
Creatures, that's right.
Yeah, and let me tell you, they say the M word, they say so much racial jokes, like they say so much racial stuff to him, and I know he has said it at times. And me as a Yankee fan to hear that, and it's like while I'm there, I'm like, yo, dude, chill, like, come on, what's wrong with you, like. You really say this in front of a bunch of people that are either black or, any type of minority over here. And you're saying racial stuff to him. You think we ain't going to take offense to that? Regardless if he's playing for the opposing team, it doesn't matter. Have some self-respect.
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to. Is it these obnoxious fans don't have enough self-respect for themselves that they need to belittle a player because they're jealous of their talents? Is it they have to treat them a certain way because inside they're not adequate with themselves? Is it that shoe size mentality? If the shoe fits, if you know what I mean? Is it that type of mentality that makes people feel that they can talk any certain way? Or do they feel they have the safety because you're out of bounds, right? That nobody's going to come touch you. Well, we saw that with the Malice in the Palace. We saw that.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But I think there's fans that still have that perspective that feel, they're not going to come here. I got security that are going to block them. Their teammates are going to block them. I can do whatever I want. Yeah, maybe I might not go to a game anymore. Okay, whatever. It's stupid. And I think that's where I'm going to go with my closing right now. For everybody out there that wants to be a fan of a sport, be a fan of a team, be a fan of a player, it's okay to be a fan. It's okay to be obnoxious if it's in a fun way like myself and Manny have described today. But at the end of the day, we want you to understand one thing. Being a fan does not give you the right to dictate how a player lives their life, whether it's pocket watching, whether it's talking about how they live their lifestyle, how they raise their family. All of those attributes, you don't have the right as a fan to be able to dictate how they do it. Yes, it might be in the media. Yes, it might be on blast, but it doesn't give you the right as a fan to highlight it every time you're at a game. It doesn't give you the right as a fan to turn around and talk badly about a player's family, cursing, giving racial slurs, because at the end of the day, the only person that you're hurting is yourself, because you're making yourself look like a donkey. You're making yourself look foolish, and you're going to end up being one of the next Catch the Hands segment on Manny Schefter's Coliseum. From Manny and myself, we are the Fan Zone. We are going to be here every week Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Please make sure you like and subscribe to Sports Hit List. If you want to see other amazing content, we have the Sports Hit List live at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. We have Smoke and Mirrors that I gave a shout out earlier today at 1 p.m. on Mondays and Fridays. We got the B Show on Thursdays. That's right. Deb herself gives you her take on everything, whether it's in fashion, whether it's in media, or whether it's even in sports. But we also have other content. And if you want to be able to be a part of our conversation, you want to be able to be a part of our fan base, us as fans. And that's our motto, the Sports Hit List, for the fans, by the fans. Come join us. Click, like, and subscribe. I'm Mike. This is Manny. We are out. Thank you very much.
Salud.